Hey, welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, make sure you hit that subscribe button and also smash that like button. We get tons of calls and texts about people looking to buy or move, looking for information about moving here to the Denver metro area. So make sure you reach out to me any way you can. I'm always happy to answer your questions. Either call, text, or email me. Happy to help you out. So let's get started talking about what the weather's like here in the Denver metro area. So I thought I would come out here and talk to you at one of our local parks about what the weather's like here in the Denver metro area. In Denver, we have 4 seasons. So we've got, winter, fall, spring, and summer. And right now we are in the middle of winter. It's the middle of February. Today it's about 40 degrees out. It's pretty nice out here. The sun is really bright. So I actually had to find a place that had some shade so I could actually look at the camera, because otherwise I'd blind myself with the sun. But I've got a frozen lake here behind me and some snow, and we had some super cold temperatures last week in the teens. I think it was 14 degrees when I took my kids to school the other day. It was like 7 o'clock in the morning. So you're gonna have some really cold days here in the Denver metro area, but within a week or so, the sun's shining and it's starting to melt. And I could be out here without my coat on right now because it's so nice out here, 10 o'clock in the morning. So it's probably just gonna get warmer as the day goes on. I mean, your temperatures can range for the winter months anywhere from the low teens all the way up to probably the 50s or so. So that's your winters. There's many things about the winters that you might think about before you move here, or you decide to visit, and trekking up into the foothills or the mountains, or say you're thinking about living there. You're gonna really have to think about a lot more snowfall. So you're gonna get a lot more snow in those areas. And even driving here around town, I would say I would at least want a front wheel drive vehicle. That's what I have. My husband has a 4-wheel drive, and we use that when we head up to the mountains, like if we're going skiing or doing something that's a fun activity in the winter time. Definitely want to think about that. You also want to think about, if you notice, I'm kind of facing west right now, and so you don't see a lot of snow right behind me. But if I head over in the direction that's facing north, you're gonna see a lot more snow, just the way it's angled and everything, and the ice will melt. So if you happen to buy a house that faces north, you're definitely gonna have to worry about that ice melting not as quickly, or scooping your driveway. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it is something to think about, which way your house faces. I mean, my dad always told me, make sure you buy a house that faces west, because then you get the shade of the day facing in the back of your house for having dinner and that sort of thing. But I still haven't bought a house that faces west since I've bought homes. So, but if you want to take my dad's advice, that's what he would have told you. So those are a couple of the things to think about in winter when it comes to moving here. Also, want to make sure that you have a shovel so that you can shovel your driveway, shovel your sidewalks when it does snow. You don't necessarily need a snowblower, especially down here in town, but I will tell you, if you decide you want to live up in the foothills or the mountains, I just visited one of my clients thinking about listing his home, and he is in necessity of needing a snowblower. He didn't have one when he first moved there, and it was something he needed to get right away. You really need to think about that based on where you're living. So that's winter. As we get into springtime, sometimes our springs can be really short around here. You'll start to see things like you see all these like kind of brown trees. I mean, things get really brown once the snow comes in the fall time. But you're start to see everything blooming and everything coming up, obviously, in the springtime. And people have been known to also accidentally maybe plant their gardens too soon, or blooms will come out on the trees, and then we'll get a late spring snow. Because we can get snow up into April and March sometimes. Sometimes the ski areas will stay open later if it's one of those types of years. So you just never know when we're going to get that spring snow, and it's kind of a bummer when we do, because what happens is all these great blooms come out, and then it snows and it kills all those beautiful blooms that you get right in the beginning of spring, like your tulips. And like I have a crabapple tree, and it creates gorgeous blossoms, and if we get one of those late spring storms, it can just kill them all off. So that's one thing to think about if you're coming to the Denver metro area, is just that sometimes it can just be feel like it's spring, and then it can go back to winter again, and then all of a sudden it's summer. And so it can seem really short. So coming to summer, just like it is right now, the sun's pretty intense in the summertime, so it can get really hot. The average temperature in August is about 85 degrees. We do have days that it can get in the 90s. And if you're buying a house and you're from the East Coast or somewhere where it's humid, it is not humid here at all. It's very dry. In fact, right now, I could use some lotion on my hands because it's super, super dry. So you want to, if you're not used to that, you might want to think about that. As a matter of fact, like even in the winter months, I have a whole house humidifier that actually puts humidity in my house. And people that come from the East Coast or humid places think that's just crazy and insane, which I guess in some ways it is. So you want to think about that dryness. So in the summertime, one thing that I've told a lot of people that are moving here is you might want to think about a swamp cooler or an evaporated cooler, because sometimes they're cheaper to run. They run off of water and they actually put humidity in your house, but it also cools it, and you can keep windows and doors open, unlike if you have air conditioning, it's all shut up. So a lot of people that aren't from a drier climate don't even know that those exist. So that's something to think about in the summer months as well. As far as activities in the summer, I mean, you've got your hiking and your biking. I mean, you can do that in the winter too. Just lots of fun things to do here in the summertime. 14ers, which I, unless you're really experienced, wouldn't recommend doing those in the winter time unless you know how to do ice climbing and that kind of thing. So then we go into fall, and fall is gorgeous here. But just like spring, it can come and go really quickly. Luckily this year, we had a very long fall time, and it was gorgeous. The leaves lasted a long time, but again, if we get an early snow, which usually we get our snow at least something in October, but this year it didn't come until late. I don't even think it came until December. So we had those beautiful fall colors. You definitely want to go up and visit all the aspen trees up in the mountains and see those beautiful colors in the fall. And in the fall, if it snows, it can just all those leaves, beautiful leaves, are going to fall off the trees, and they're going to look like this a lot sooner if it hadn't snowed. So you have to be prepared for that it could be kind of brown like this for quite a bit longer here, because our falls can be very, very short. That being said, the weather is super mild in the fall, and it's kind of just like perfect timing. I mean, you can have days where it gets really chilly out. It could be like a day like today in the 40s, all the way up to, the high 60s. So fall can be a very beautiful time, perfect weather. And the nice thing about the non-humid weather is that it creates really cool summer evenings in the evening time that you might not get in a humid area, because you're going to have that humidity and that heat. We don't have that here. Once that sun goes down, it cools off quite a bit. So back to that dryness, and along with the dryness throughout the winter and the summer, even the fall and the spring, you're definitely going to want to make sure you stay hydrated, drink lots of water, use lotion, and have your chapstick around. Oh, and one last note on the winter. In the winter time, if we have days where we have a big snowstorm, which we've had a couple of those this year, but what I call a big snowstorm and what people from other places that aren't from here call big snowstorms, are totally different, because I've had my kids' school canceled like 3 times this year, and we are not. They would have been canceled when I was a kid. But anyway, that takes us to traffic and driving in the snow. So one thing that might be important for you is having a garage or having a carport, or if you're in the mountains, having a garage, because you're going to have to go out, clean off your car, and then drive in the winter traffic. Now, it can get really bad sometimes, but with so many people working from home, a lot of people are just saying, "Oh, stay home on a snow day," or on a snowy day. So that can be something you want to take into consideration about what kind of car you have and how far your commute is. That's the biggest thing about winter and commuting, and making sure you have the right tires, especially if you're going up I-70 to go skiing. So I just want to wrap it up with one last thing, and that's that because we are at a mile high here in the Denver metro area, hence why my company is called Dwell Mile High. So live in the Mile High City, and because of that, it makes our weather fairly mild, and that is why our weather is just kind of fairly mild and really pretty lovely for the most part, but it can get cold. And the other thing is we have 300 days of sunshine here in the Denver metro area, and that makes for more sunny days than even San Diego or Miami. So even though we have this white stuff on the floor or on the white stuff on the ground and falling from the sky, we have more sunny days. As you can see today, if I put my camera towards the sun, it's really sunny out, and yeah, I still have a frozen lake right there. So make sure you take a moment to watch our other videos about the Denver metro area, cost of living, pros and cons of living in all the different areas, different suburbs, and Denver in general. And also make sure you let us know if there's any particular videos that you're interested in, and we'll be happy to make them. Make it a great day.